Everybody, thanks for joining us today on our TracerPlus 7.0 sneak preview webinar. My name is Howie Heckman. I'm one of the developers here at PTS. And I'll be walking you through some of the exciting new features we have for this latest release of our software. Again, we're very excited about this release. We have some features in here that we've included based on user feedback. We also have new features for RFID scanning, which really open up a new level of power with our RFID scanning capability. We've started to add new features there that we believe at this price point nobody else offers. So it really opens up a new world of scanning and accessibility of RFID to many of our end users. I'd like to jump right into our first feature, I guess, for TracerPlus version 7, one of our highlighted features. And this feature is something actually that that's been requested a lot from our user community. The ability to email and text message from TracerPlus. A lot of our users have come to us with different requests for sending email, and they've tried to tie in their email applications outside of TracerPlus to get their data sent in an email form or maybe even a text message form as a notification at some point during their data collection process. So we've actually taken this ability and put it inside of TracerPlus 7. Now you can actually create customized mobile reports that are emailed from within the TracerPlus application. We also have the ability to text message as well to send out different types of alerts. If I jump over to the next screen here, I actually have a good use case for this email messaging. You can see here's a delivery verification application. So a lot of people have requested the ability to take their TracerPlus data and maybe send a notification to the recipient of a delivery. So they could go ahead, scan all the packages, scan tracking numbers, collect a signature at the end, and not only send that data back to your home offices to get processed in your back-end database, now that can actually, from the handheld, send out an email notification as well. So that can go to the recipient of this of the packages with the information about the delivery, and as you can see from the screenshot here, all the information is printed up in an organized, customized form within the email. So another interesting thing to note, when you go out and scan these packages, have the end user sign for it at the end, or the recipient sign for it at the end, that email will get attached to the email document, sent to the end user, and now they can see the verification immediately at that point. So it doesn't always have to go back to the back-end database for processing. Maybe somebody generates an email manually at that time, or some type of processing at the database level. This will also get sent out to the user directly from the handheld. So it's an immediate verification and notification from TracerPlus. It has a lot of the functionality of our print format feature, in that you can customize the look and feel of the email. You have complete control over what the email looks like before it gets sent out. Okay, so if I jump over to the next screenshot here, you can see a little bit more of this in action. This one happens to be scanning an order number and printing out an invoice, an itemized invoice. And you can see on the handheld, you can see the messaging screen within TracerPlus, where you can actually on the fly change who the email is going to. You can change the report or what the email is going to look like, and you can also filter the data that gets included in that message format. And then in the background, again, you can see another email that was received from this handheld application here. So if I jump over to the next slide, this here is actually the email configuration within, or messaging configuration within TracerPlus Desktop. It's been added to the session settings area of TracerPlus Desktop, just below where the printer's set up, since it's somewhat similar to that. So you can see from this screenshot, you can turn on the messaging, you can select the report that you'd like to set the email to look like. You can set what data you'd like to send in the email and when you'd like to send it. So you can send it on submit, just like you could do with the print on submit. And you can also filter the data that gets sent. Now this feature here has been added to print as well. You could add a new checkbox type field on the form that allows you to turn on and off the messaging as you need it. And that really kind of allows you to, on the fly, determine if you want to send the particular message on submit. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the configuration of where the email gets sent and some of the email settings. So you have recipients, maybe the subject, as well as the type. Now, the type can be an email, but it can also be an SMS text message. And that feature is interesting for sending out alerts from TracerPlus. So a lot of our end users have been requesting the ability to, say on an inspection form, send out an alert to somebody if something on the inspection needs additional verification or repair. So if there's some type of an emergency with the inspection form, they can send an SMS text message, which may contain only a little bit of information. It'll get sent to the right person to get that information sent back over to that person to come and take a look for additional repair or whatever may be notified in the text message. Okay, so that's the first feature that I wanted to really focus on within this webinar, which is the new messaging within TracerPlus. The next one, which I talked about a little bit at the beginning, is something we're very excited about, and that is actually full RFID functionality. We've had RFID functionality within TracerPlus for a while now, but with the 7.0 release, we're actually adding to that, and we're adding to that so that not only can you just read the RFID tag IDs, you could also write to the tags. So you kind of have a lot of control, and in a very accessible way within the TracerPlus world of easy to configure and deploy, you can configure a fully featured RFID form so you can read and write to the tag. So in the past, with our RFID functionality, you could always read the tag ID similar to a barcode, except kind of in an easy bulk read way. So you can go into a room, you could scan all of the assets in a room, populate the form within TracerPlus, and kind of submit that data. Or maybe if you wanted to display information about the RFID tag that was read, you could look it up from your database and display it to the end user on the form. That was always an easier way of getting the data to scan and place within TracerPlus, but in TracerPlus 7 now we're expanding on that tag ID. Now instead of just scanning the tag ID and looking up information, we're building into it the additional functionality that an RFID tag supports. So an RFID tag, you can not only just read that tag ID, but you should also be able to write that tag ID or change the value of the tag. And also with supported RFID tags, there is user memory on those tags where you can actually write whatever you want. So within TracerPlus 7.0, we're supporting this ability. You can use your form data that you've collected in TracerPlus and actually write that to the tag so that later on when somebody comes to read that tag again, they can almost populate the entire form from the tag itself. So it doesn't have to necessarily be that connection back to the back-end database, but they can see information about that tag read from the tag and not from any other data source. Okay, so on the next screen I have something that kind of illustrates that a little bit more. I have the two different types here. I have a traditional old-fashioned barcode up on the top, and you can see it's just equivalent to some type of ID. So you're scanning that value, you're getting the ID, and you're populating it on your form, and then you have to do something with that ID. You have to go back to your database, you have to pull up the information about that barcode that's associated to that barcode, populate the form. If you ever want to change this, you have to go out, maybe put a new ID on the particular item, and then reassociate the values to that barcode. But the association is always made back at the database level or maybe on the database on the handheld where you're pulling up that information. Whereas in a RFID, if you add this writing capability, you can actually add more fields of information to that RFID tag, and you can kind of fill out the entire form from the RFID tag itself. So there's no going back to the database, pulling up that information, and populating the form. Okay, so with that in mind, we've added this ability within TracerPlus Desktop to kind of configure the setup from start to finish of reading and writing these tags. So there's no programming involved as there isn't with any of our other features, and it's really easy to get up and running. Even with using our Solution Center where we'll be adding some of these samples, it's really easy to get up and running with the RFID samples and to add this to your current TracerPlus data collection processes. So if anybody wants to get a hold of the right equipment and the right tags, they can get up and running with RFID tag reading and writing pretty quickly. So from this screenshot here, you can see on the right-hand side, This is actually the configuration of the tag reading within TracerPlus Desktop. You're just basically setting the values that you'd like to write to the tag based on the form. And then on the left-hand side here, we had a fully configured sample where you can see on this first one, this is the tag ID that was read from the tag by pulling the trigger. And on the second tab here in this info tab, you can see these couple values for the asset description, the owner, and the location. Those are actually populated from the read on the tag. So when you pull the trigger, based on just this configuration within TracerPlus Desktop here, it's filling out the form for you from the tag. So that's different from the old version of TracerPlus, where you're not only reading the tag ID, but you're reading this user memory and populating the form. But you can also go back later on, and if you wanted to change any of these values on the form, so if you wanted to change maybe the location to some other location, cubicle 1013 or something, you could go ahead and write that to the form, click on this right tab, and then press the right button. It'll actually update the tag information with new values, so that later on if somebody comes back and reads that tag again, it's going to populate the form with the new information. So we're really excited about this feature. It opens up a new world of the RFID features and accessibility again to all of our users, and can hopefully greatly expand this RFID and the implementation of it. So we're hoping that it's easy enough for people to get up and going, and at this price point, we don't know of anybody else that's doing this. Some of these next features are ones that have been highly requested from our user base. The first one I have on the list is performing lookups on all data types and field types. Previously in TracerPlus, the lookup feature would allow you to display information about some item that was scanned and display that to the end user. However, that was always kind of forced to be a text field, so you could display the description or something in a text field for that lookup. Now lookups have been redone so that their configuration is done for any field on the form. So if you had something like a checkbox value, you could look that up. Or if you had something like a signature field type, you could look that up as well. So imagine scanning some order number and you wanted to look up that signature, you could do that. You could just scan the order number, it pulls up the signature that's associated with it, and can display it in the signature pop-up. So every field on the form can now be a configurable lookup value, and it's kind of been pulled out of the field type section, and it's separate from that. The next one I have here is dynamic parsing. Dynamic parsing allows a user to change their parsing rules based on some form data. And a good way to describe this is actually to give you a use case. Common request, or a common example of this, would be perishable foods, the perishable food industry. We have, in perishable foods, there's a lot of manufacturers that embed different bits of information about the item in the barcode. So things, not just the product ID, but also maybe the expiration date and different information that's kind of imperative to the life of that perishable food. But manufacturers encode those barcodes differently. So one barcode may have the expiration date at the beginning of the barcode, or another one may have it after some value in the barcode. Now with dynamic parsing within TracerPlus, no matter which manufacturer you scan, whichever manufacturer's barcode you scan, you can always get the right information out of the barcode. So you're always displaying the correct expiration date in the expiration field and so on. So you can kind of dynamically change the rules of that parse from your form data. And the last feature here, the SmartForm. This is something that we're going to be adding to in future releases of the software. The first two actually deal with the feature that I just mentioned before, RFID reading, as well as barcode reading. The rules allow you to force barcode and RFID tag reads into particular fields on the form. So no longer will you accidentally scan into the wrong field, or maybe you read an RFID tag into the incorrect field. It will always force those values into the correct field on the form. So no matter where focus is within the application, that data is always getting sent to the correct field, so you can continue on processing the information on the form. And that's available for both RFID scanning as well as the barcode scanning. Okay, so those are some of the bigger features that I wanted to kind of walk you through and give you a sneak peek on today. So again, I thank you all for joining us today, and hope you enjoyed the webinar, and thanks again. All right, bye-bye.